What is going on, YouTube? It is your girl Ray, and welcome back. On today's video, we are going to be watching 6 most disturbing mysteries solved on Google Maps. Now, listen, I am very curious to know what is going to be in store because I've seen other videos of things that were mysterious from Google Maps, but nothing was ever solved. It was just like someone was using it, searching, and found this huge statue or this huge, I don't know, open field with some weird scarecrows or, some other things that I don't really want to say. But I am very intrigued into knowing what is going to be on these 6 videos. Big ups and shout out to Chilling Scares. They are the original content creators and uploaders of this video. And big ups and shout out to the Raise World Gang. I see y'all and I salute. Road to 500. As I told y'all, consistency is key. And I'm so sorry I fell off that one time. It may happen in the future. People got lives. And listen, my life off of social, I'm trying to have a balance because I don't want to neglect my life or neglect my social, which is you guys. So thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for everyone who tunes in every single week and are adamant on seeing what I have in store. I truly do appreciate you guys. So thank you to you. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Now, without further ado, I'm excited. And if you do like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get into it. Let's go ahead and roll it.
On July 30th, 2010, 3 men were drinking together in a backyard in Richland County, South Carolina. The names of the men were Leslie Todd Parvin, Edgar Lopez, and Pablo Gutierrez Guzman. At some point in the afternoon, an argument broke out between the 3 men, and Leslie ended up pulling a handgun from his waistband and taking the lives of the 2 other men. It's unclear exactly what sparked the argument between the 3 men, but immediately after the shooting, Parvin fled to Louisiana in his green Kia minivan. Once there, he shaved his head and destroyed both the gun he had used to take the lives of his 2 victims as well as the minivan. For a few days, Parvin managed to elude the authorities, but pretty soon the cops started scanning through license plate records of all green Kia vans registered in Louisiana. According to investigation documents, after the double murder, a witness had reported a partial tag of Parvin's minivan to the police. And a couple days later, on a whim, the cops plugged the suspect's address into Google Maps Street View, and sure enough, found a green minivan parked in front of his house with the license plates and description matching what the witness had told them. With that kind of evidence stacked against him, it was pretty much all over for Parvin. And on August 19th, a relative brought him back to his home in the Windsor Lake area, where he was promptly arrested on 2 charges of murder and later sentenced to 35 years in prison. During the investigation, it was publicly revealed that Parvin was a 20-year Army veteran with 5 overseas deployments and a pretty bad case of PTSD, which he had been diagnosed with in 2007. According to his father's testimony, his 20 years of military service and the stress from his tours near Iraq and Afghanistan could have influenced his behavior on the day of the incident. You would think that after 2 decades of selflessly serving his country, Parvin would have been provided the appropriate mental health treatment to help him live his life peacefully. Instead, 2 innocent men are now dead, and the perpetrator himself will be spending most of the rest of his life behind bars. 35 years after his crime, at the age of 75, Parvin will be released from prison into a world he'll probably no longer even recognize.
I dated somebody at one point, y'all. I know we at the beginning of the video, but your girl likes to talk. I dated somebody who was in the Army, and he came back with PTSD. Is what they said. Yeah. And that stuff is not a joke. I remember one time we was driving, it was me, him, and his mom and dad, I believe. And he was actually behind the wheel, and he saw an empty box on the expressway, and he maneuvered really hard. Could have caused us an accident, but didn't. And his mom freaked out on him, you cannot be doing that. Listen, that stuff is very, very much real, and you have to be careful with who you friend and investigate, because you don't know what type of stuff people are going through mentally. And I also feel like people who are going through that type of stuff, you need to be more vocal about those things or stay away from people. If you are not mentally capable of being around people and very unsure about yourself, seek help, seek Jesus, because you're putting people's lives in danger. And now these two people that you probably got a flashback look like somebody or something are now gone for no reason. That's so sad. That is so sad. Like, RIP to those victims. That's crazy.
In July 2018, Channel 4 released an incredibly disturbing video which showed a group of uniformed men leading multiple women and children through a dirt road and onto a deserted patch of land, where the armed men then shamelessly took the lives of the victims at gunpoint.
So I had already posted this one, so I'm not going to act like I didn't see this already. I definitely did see it, but if you are new to the channel and you didn't see that video, you can go watch it on the other one. I'm going to skip forward because we already talked about this one. Just go watch the other video.
Between 2010 and 2011, 11 bodies were found near Gilgo Beach on the south shore of Long Island between Nassau and Suffolk counties. Most of the bodies belonged to female escorts whose lives had been taken as early as 1993. But it wasn't until 2023 that they finally managed to arrest Rex Heuermann, a 60-year-old architect and father of two, and connect him to the crimes through DNA evidence, cell phone records, and the links between his Chevy Avalanche and the crimes. After his arrest, Rex was charged with the deaths of 4 women. And later, he was charged with the deaths of 2 other women after DNA evidence linked him to the crimes. Disturbingly, the cops found that the suspect had used several burner phones to conduct thousands of searches related to the things he later ended up doing to his victims. And to seal Heuermann's fate, they also found a huge Word document on his hard drive in his basement, in which Rex had planned out the murders of his victims in very explicit detail. Shockingly, the document included checklists that outlined the steps he needed to complete before, during, and after his killings. Based on court evidence, Heuermann started committing these crimes as early as 1993, and if found guilty, he'll be facing multiple consecutive life sentences in prison. As of 2024, the case is still ongoing, but during the investigation, some more disturbing details have surfaced. In 2023, some online users discovered a Google Street View image of Heuermann talking to an unidentified woman near his office on East 36th Street more than a year before his arrest. Now, we have no idea who this woman is, and it's very possible that she was a potential victim, but we also can't say that for sure. Chillingly, in the image, Rex also appears to be wearing the same shirt that he wore for a YouTube interview earlier in 2022, where he spoke about his role as an architect at his firm on Fifth Avenue. His defense lawyer, Michael Brown, told the New York Post that the cops have the wrong man.
How do we know if he's the wrong man or not? How you gonna tell me that he's the wrong man? How do we know? Give us the facts on why. We need a little bit more from that video, because he could be harvesting organs of people. Was anything missing? Does anybody know anything in regards to that case? I need more information, because ain't no way that you just gonna blame this guy out of all people. Just like, yeah, this is the guy that murdered everyone. Just random person. Although those things do happen. Sorry for those people that it happens to, but that doesn't mean every case is that way. Okay, I need more information. All right, go ahead and get that, because I'm not satisfied with just knowing that, oh, his attorney said we found the wrong guy. How is he the wrong guy, sir? Please elaborate for us, enlighten us. Okay, I want to be in there, because I'll be ready to book him real quick. 11 bodies. What are you doing? What's going on here? What are the ties of the people? Like, I need to know. I need more information. I might have to go ahead and get that information on my own, just in case nobody say anything, because I'm very curious to know what the details and what else happened there.
In September 2008, a 14-year-old Dutch boy was riding his bike in the town of Groningen, about 110 miles northeast of Amsterdam, when suddenly 2 young men walked behind him, dragged him off his bike, and robbed him of €165 and his phone. For several months, the cops failed to find the suspects, as no witnesses came forward and they only had the boy's description of the muggers to go on. In March of the following year, the victim went on his computer and started surfing Google Maps Street View, looking at the location where he'd been mugged around 6 months earlier. To his surprise, the Street View car had captured the 2 men walking up behind him in the moments before the crime. As is usually the case with these images, the faces of the 2 muggers and the victim were blurred, but the boy immediately called the cops and informed them of the new development in the case. With the Street View pictures in hand, the authorities asked Google to hand over the unblurred version of the images to help identify the suspects. Interestingly, as soon as they got the unblurred images, the investigators recognized one of the muggers from a previous crime, and the other suspect was identified as the first mugger's twin brother. After confirming their identity, the Dutch police were able to track down and arrest the twins, but I wasn't able to find official confirmation that they were charged and sentenced. It's unclear if the boy ever got his phone and money back. 30-year-old Kim Wall was an award-winning Swedish journalist who traveled all over the world to cover stories on social justice. Throughout her career, her reporting took her to countries like Uganda, Cuba, the Marshall Islands, and Kenya, with her work often being featured in prestigious journals like the New York Times, the South China Morning Post, and the Atlantic. In 2017, while she was in Copenhagen with her boyfriend, she met Peter Madsen, a brilliant Danish inventor and self-taught engineer who had built his own submarine, designed his own rockets, and had plans to launch himself into space in the near future.
Excuse me.
On August 10th of that year, Peter Madsen took Kim Wall on a trip off the Copenhagen coast in his homemade submarine, the NC-3 Nautilus, for a brief interview. Sadly, after that trip, Kim Wall was never seen again. When she didn't come back later that day, her partner reported her missing and an official investigation was officially launched. Just a few days later, on the 21st of August, a passing cyclist found parts of her body washed up on the beach close to where she had gone missing. And about a month and a half later, the rest of her body was found in multiple different weighted-down bags by police divers. During the investigation, Madsen was brought in for questioning, but he denied having anything to do with the state of her body. He instead claimed that Kim Wall had died after being accidentally hit on the head by the hatch of the submarine. Strangely, he later ended up changing his account of the events and claimed that Wall had died after inhaling toxic fumes. Although no trace of toxic fumes was found in her system, the authorities did find 15 stab wounds on Kim's body. After being held in police custody for a while, Madsen eventually confessed that he had murdered Wall and then thrown her separate body parts into the Baltic Sea. In April 2018, Peter Madsen was convicted on 3 separate charges and was sentenced to life in prison, where he's been spending his days for the past 6 years. In 2021, Madsen ended up receiving an additional 21 months in prison for staging a bomb threat in an extremely elaborate escape attempt. Fortunately, he was recaptured soon after and was brought back to his cell. One of the things that's interesting about this case is that Peter Madsen had been captured by the Google Maps Street View camera climbing into his submarine. Chillingly, when he confessed to the murder, he mentioned that his intention was never to take Kim Wall's life, but rather to sink the Nautilus forever, even if it meant that both he and the innocent journalist would die inside. To this day, it's still unclear how exactly he took Kim's life, but thankfully Madsen will be spending the rest of his life behind bars with no possibility of ever coming back to society again.
Now, chilling scares. I'm over here yelling. You talking about some there's no he stabbed her 15 times. I think that's enough detail to have solved the mystery of how he killed her. And then he dismembered her body because he didn't want anybody to find her. And he probably cut off the parts that could identify her, like the arms, the head because of the teeth, and the legs because of the toenails. It probably was just her torso that was found. Yeah, I don't know why he ain't just bag everything up and put it underneath. But at the same time, they're already on his heels because she was the last time she was seen, she was with him. For whatever the case, I was in and out with the story. Once I had found out that she had disappeared and she got dismembered, and then he's talking about it was toxic fumes. Then how did her body end up scattered across the bay? Fumes that's what it does. It puts your body parts in bags and weigh them down in the ocean, the sea, whatever the case. Same thing. In the lake, wherever the heck he was. And then he didn't. I just feel like criminals do dumb things sometimes because it's like, bro, you didn't even have an alibi prepared for you. Like the things that you had said just didn't even make sense at all. You might as well just confess if you were going to say that crap of baloney. You should have just told the truth. Now go and get yourself behind that cell. Life.
Porto Rotondo is a district in Sardinia known for its imposing mansions, sandy beaches, and elegant shops and restaurants. In 2002, an Italian businessman sold his villa in Porto Rotondo for €280,000. Due to the comparatively low value of the transaction, the sale immediately raised a red flag for the authorities, and the finance police in Italy ended up using Google Earth as part of their investigation into the property. One important detail about the villa in question is that it allegedly had a swimming pool with a very particular shape, which the cops used to guide their search for the villa using satellite imagery. As soon as they found the property, they confirmed that they had a major case of tax evasion on their hands, as the actual value of the villa should have been much, much higher considering that the value of all the properties nearby was in the high 7 figures. With enough evidence from Google's satellite imagery to confirm that the unidentified businessman had indeed committed tax fraud, the finance police then checked the suspect's bank accounts and discovered 7 million euros in unreported deposits spanning several years. This was a case that I just couldn't find a lot of information on, as the original article in Italian had very few details, and it wasn't even officially confirmed what the legal consequences were for the businessman. Still, it's probably safe to assume that his assets were seized, and due to the crazy amount of unreported cash, it's likely that he spent at least a few years in jail.
If you don't want to do the time, then stop being on. No, let me start over. If you don't want to do the time, try not to get caught in the act on Google Maps doing the crime. I was going to make it work. I'm telling y'all, I was going to make it work. Well, there you guys have it. Let me know how y'all feel about what we just watched. That was very interesting to me. 11 bodies is insane. I feel like for me, Google Maps is too advanced for myself, okay? Because if they can find all this stuff, just imagine what else they could see. You might be doing some things with your husband or wife, caught in act. Like, I just feel like if it's used for the purpose of solving mysteries and, you know, letting us know about things that we should be aware of, cool. But then I also think about it from the civilian side of, you could probably catch somebody doing just regular things. Like, what if you are a stalker and you are trying to locate this person or see if this person lives there, and you're just like, don't they update like the map feeds? Like, how long does those pictures like stay on there? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I just have questions about it. Like, for safety purposes, I just want to know, are there boundaries? Because they do blur faces and such out, but what else do they blur out? Because, I mean, what if you were caught doing something inappropriate? Or what if you're like not wanting to be, do you have to sign like a disclosure if you don't want to like be on Google Maps? Like, or are they like, you don't have a choice, we're going to do it anyway? Because I don't think I was ever asked, but I'm just saying, like, let me know how y'all feel about Google Maps. Do y'all feel like it is more of a benefit than, you know, the way the angle I'm looking at it from as well? I'm not just looking at it from one way, I'm looking at it from multiple ways. So like, just let me know how y'all feel about it in the comments. Again, if you did watch this video up until this point, I appreciate you. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit your notification bell so you know what's going on inside of Ray's world, okay? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Be sure to spread love, kill the hate, and make sure that if you are following anybody, you're following Jesus first. Peace and love. And I'm out, y'all. Bye.